Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. Fascinating book. This is a part 2. I don't have the part 1. I may never get to part 1. In great shape, by the way. But it's Exploring Christian Holiness. And it's a historical exploration. So we're going to take a look inside some fascinating things. And a lot of it has to do, when they say holiness, they're not just talking about like dress, clothing, but they're talking about the old saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost doctrine that is Nazarene, official Church of God doctrine. I don't know if they still believe that. It's put out by Beacon Hill. We'll show you what's in here. 1985, Exploring Christian Holiness. But it's got some great historical things. So, like one of the first chapters I was reading through was entire sanctification in the first 5 centuries. We'll turn this page here. So the first 5 centuries of the Christian era, which is interesting. And people have done a lot of historical legwork that really, in a sense, and I don't mean this in a negative way, shortcuts is a bad word in a lot of ways, but it gives us shortcuts in that sources that we may have to spend a lifetime trying to hunt down or may never find because of just limited resources or something that they have able to compile together in a one part. Like I just turned here to Phoebe Palmer's Altar Theology. Like Phoebe Palmer's like this tour de force in holiness theology. Raymond, Foster, Ralston, Daniel Steele, Charles Finney, Asa Mahan, Sanctification in the Order of Salvation, Development of Wesleyan Doctrine. So from the Apostolic Fathers to earliest Protestantism. So let's look at this. I'll just show you the entire sanctification, the first 5 centuries, some things you're going to be looking at. So, I mean, that's just fantastic stuff because this is, again, where you get the phraseology. Saved, you come to Jesus, then you're sanctified, and usually what they mean by entire sanctification is the eradication of the sinful nature, that you no longer have sinful desires and all of this. And then filled with the Holy Ghost. And up until the Azusa Street meetings, or maybe a little predating that, usually what they meant by filled with the Holy Ghost was just this experience with God. They came to mean, in many instances, speaking with tongues. And so this would be like the Church of God. So then we have here the doctrine of entire sanctification in the medieval West. Looks like Thomas Aquinas. Thomas talks of perfection and sanctification. He will sound rather different from Augustine, Luther, Calvin, or Wesley. Thomas, often called Aquinas, he was from the Italian town of Aquino, was born in 1225. One of the most fruitful periods of intellectual cultivation the Western civilization has known. So, a great book, Gregory the Great, Sundering of Sanctification and Perfection. So, good stuff here. Exploring Christian Holiness, Volume 2 by Bassett and Greathouse. Beacon Hill Publishing, BH, is a lot of times doesn't get out a lot because, especially it seems on the coast, Nazarene theology is just not big. Nazarene theology tends to be more of a Midwestern theology for whatever reasons. And so I remember when I was in Christian bookselling, we knew it existed, we'd get a few books from them, but usually they weren't very popular, served a niche market. But for holiness, I'm a holiness Pentecostal, books like this are invaluable. God bless. Talk with you later in Jesus' name.